Hey, what's up YouTubers, and welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts collection overview video. Today we're going to go through my entire Scream Factory / Shout Factory collection, which consists of these three shelves right here in front of you. Plus I do have a couple of box sets on the floor. We'll go through those last. This will be a pretty long video, so get yourself comfortable and get a snack or two if you want, get a beverage. And let's go through and see what kind of movies I have in my Scream Factory collection. Welcome back, guys. Enjoy your stay. I always appreciate the views and hanging out with you guys. So in this video, we're going to go through my Scream Factory collection. I have them on three shelves. And the way that I have these stacked is the first shelf is just the Amaray cases and the twin billings. And the second shelf are all the slipcovers. And going into the third shelf, there's more slipcovers and steelbooks and DVDs. So there is a little bit of a method here. And these are all in alphabetical order. And let's get into the first movie here, which is actually a documentary. And this one is called 7852, Hitchcock's shower scene. It's a really beautiful documentary, very informative about the shower scene from Psycho. There's a lot of actors and directors and very famous people who chime in on the movie and how it affected their lives and their careers. And this is one I definitely recommend. Next one is called The Angry Red Planet. This is a sci-fi horror film, low budget, from Ib Melchior, and in collaboration with Sid Pink. They did a lot of collabs together back in the day. It's a very fun sci-fi film. Kind of reminiscent to Lost in Space, sort of in a kind of roundabout way. But I enjoy the movie. Next one is an independent horror film, directed by and starring these two gentlemen here on the cover, Jeremy Gardner and Adam Cronheim, called The Battery. It's a different type of a take on a zombie film, and how these two best friends have to cope with dealing with the cannibal zombie apocalypse. And I don't want to give away the ending because it would, if you haven't seen it, nobody likes spoilers, so definitely recommend checking that one out. Next one is a twin billing that I didn't put in with the other twin billings, but this is Blackula and Scream Blackula. Scream, a horror take on the blaxploitation genre. I really enjoyed these movies. Going back to the VHS days, these are from the early 70s, 72 and 73. You can see the lovely Pam Grier is in the films. And those are fun little zombie films. Vampire films. Next one is another low budget. I didn't really care too much for this one. It does star Barbara Crampton, so it does have that going for it. This one's called Beyond the Gates. I watched it once. I didn't really care for it. I may pop it in to give it a second try at some point. But if you guys have seen this one, let me know your thoughts on that. Next one is called The Beast Within, and a lot of people consider this kind of a werewolf film, although it's not. It's a kind of an insect film, namely cicada. This guy turns into a cicada, and the transformation scene is pretty cool, but it does very much look like a werewolf transformation scene. A lot of people do get that confused, including myself. I did mention at one time that this was a werewolf film, and it is not really, but I mean, if you see the transformation scene, you'll know what I'm talking about. The next one is a Roger Corman cult classic called Battle Beyond the Stars, and these are really fun editions. This was the 30th anniversary edition. And there's really nobody who could stretch a buck better than Corman. He made these low buck operations, and he always did a very good job with these. Very much enjoyed that movie. Here's a slasher from the, I think, late 70s. This one's called Blood and Lace. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo. And 1971. You can see that it stars Len Lesser, who played Uncle Leo on Seinfeld, as well as many other films, and he was in a lot of different things. He was in The Outlaw Josie Wales, too, and he was one of the guys that stuck up on Josie Wales and that kid when they were wounded and sleeping. And he's the one that said, "We got us the whales." And he ended up meeting his demise because nobody sneaks up on Josie Wales and lives. But, but this was a fun movie. I watched this one once also. It was okay. I should probably revisit that one at some point too. Now this one here is one I've seen a handful of times, and I really do enjoy this one. It's called A Boy and His Dog. And even if you're not the biggest Don Johnson fan, he was pretty young in this movie. You get an R-rated and I think there was a different cut of this movie. Maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, yeah, you don't get two versions of the film, but it's a movie from 1975, Post-apocalyptic. Very good movie, very enjoyable, fun watch. Next one is a comedy. Doesn't seem like it fits in the Scream Factory collection, but like I said, I do keep my Shout and my Scream stuff together. So, and this is a Shout Select, spine number 23. This is Car Wash. Very funny comedy from the 70s, starring Richard Pryor and George Carlin. So you get two of the titans of the comedy world. 1976, this movie came out. Very fun watch. Here's one. I put this one in. I never finished it. I have to go back and check it out. But from what I saw, I wasn't really into this movie. But like I said, I got to give it another shot. Watch it all the way through. This one's called Chilling Visions, 5 Senses of Fear. It says it's 5 short films, 5 groundbreaking visions, 5 reasons to be scared senseless. If anybody has seen this one, let me know what you think. But you get movies called Smell, See, Touch, Taste, Listen, Anthology. From the people that brought you Steve Niles' Remains and Dead Souls. Here is a Klaus Kinski horror suspense film called Crawl Space. Very weird movie. This it's the kind of movie that gives you, you feel like you need to take a shower after you're done watching it. It's a Peeping Tom slasher movie. And Klaus Kinski always plays a very creepy villain, and I don't think he had to stretch his acting skills very much to play that creepy guy. I think he was probably pretty creepy in real life. At least a lot of the interviews of people who worked with him, and Werner Herzog worked with him, and a lot of people didn't care too much for Kinski, although he was a great actor. He just wasn't a very good person from what I hear. But next one is a Dolph Lundgren, sci-fi-ish type, I don't know, some horror elements in it, I guess. Dark Angel. This is one that I have not watched on Blu-ray yet, but I have seen this movie back on DVD. I think I even saw this on VHS. But Dolph Lundgren's a good actor. He's a tough guy. I would put him in the group of tough guys. Next one is a movie about killer rats, and they used small dogs in costumes as the rats in this movie. It's called Deadly Eyes. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. It's actually a pretty good movie. I had fun with this one. Although a little small piece of trivia about this movie is one of the dogs suffocated in its costume and died on set. So that's pretty unfortunate. I don't like to hear that kind of stuff, but Scatman Crothers makes an appearance in this movie. Yeah, really not much else to say about it. It's a fun movie. I would recommend checking it out. You could probably get this pretty cheap, so it'd be a good blind buy if you want to pick it up. Next one is called Death Valley, starring that little kid who played in A Christmas Story, Peter Billingsley, I think his name is. Yeah, Peter Billingsley. Horror movie from 1982. It's not bad. It's not good either. It's kind of middle of the road. It's still a decent watch. This was one of the earlier releases put out by Scream Factory. I wish they would do like Vinegar Syndrome is doing and go back and reissue some slipcovers for some of these movies. Would be really cool. For some of these early releases that were never issued with slipcovers. Here's a slasher movie my friend Jordan, Given Up 96, sent to me some years back. This is called Demented. I think this one's now out of print, or it's going out of print. Hard to keep up with those lists that Scream Factory keeps putting out. But yeah, this is a decent watch. Glad to have it in the collection for sure. Next one is Charles Bronson in Death Wish 2, the uncut special edition Blu-ray. First time it was uncut on Blu-ray. So you actually do get two cuts of the movie. You get the R-rated and the uncut. You get a little bit of special features. And these are definitely fun watches. I really enjoy these movies. Even some of the later ones, like Part 5, even, you know, he was getting older and they were just kind of pushing these out, but I still enjoyed them. They were still good, fun movies. Next one is a Boris Karloff film called Die, Monster, Die. It says, can you face the ultimate in diabolism? Can you stand pure terror? Some of these old films from the 60s, 1965. These are classic, these are gold. And you can see he's aged there pretty well, but he was always worth the price of admission. He was a great actor. So the next one here is a very good backwoods slasher movie, one I recommend highly. This one's called The Final Terror. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. I've talked about this one quite a bit, but it's one I would definitely recommend. You should check that one out. Next one is another Roger Corman cult classic called Forbidden World. I really enjoy these. These are really good films. Again, he could really stretch a dollar on these low-budget movies. It's the unrated director's cut in anamorphic widescreen. It looks really good too. They cleaned it up very nice. Next one is a Vincent Price movie called From a Whisper to a Scream, also called The Offspring. And it has a reversible cover, and I switched it out to the alternate title, just because I like the way that looks a little bit better. But I do definitely know this one as From a Whisper to a Scream. See there, you get quite a bit of special features. And Clu Gulager's in this one. Cameron Mitchell. So it's a fun watch. Here's one that, again, I wasn't really the biggest fan of this movie, though I did have some fun with it. There's always there's always good parts to every movie, even the worst of the movies. There's still something to enjoy. This one was called The Funhouse Massacre. Robert Englund was in here, but it was more silly to me than it was shocking. I think they tried hard to make this a very shocking movie, but it was more silly than anything else. But I'm sure there's people out there that really love the movie. Here's another Corman classic called Galaxy of Terror. Another beautiful cover too. Very reminiscent of the 50s comic books. Another very fun watch. Lots of special features. Would love to see slipcovers for those. Here's a twin billing. I failed to put with the other ones, but this is Ghost House and Witchery. Both of these movies are... Ghost House is a little bit better than Witchery, but Ghost House still wasn't very... It didn't hit home for me at all. It wasn't really that great of a movie. It was okay. But I do like these twin billings, and I think a lot of these are out of print now, so And Witchery, it has David Hasselhoff in it and Linda Blair. But so to kind of tell you what kind of movie that is. Next one is another Shout movie, and this is an animated film called Heavy Traffic. And this is a Ralph Bakshi movie. And it has very primitive, a very different style of animation, but these are still fun movies from the 70s. 73. Here is the Horror Show. This is actually in one of the Arrow Video box sets. This is one of the House movies. I think this is House 3. But in the US it was just called the Horror Show, and it really has nothing to do with the House franchise, but they call it one of the House movies. So you do get an interview with Kane Hodder in this one, and it does have the great Lance Henriksen. There's another 70s slasher called The House That Screamed. (1970) exactly, this came up. Here's a very low budget kind of a splatter flick. This is called The Incredible Melting Man, oozing with Scream Factory extras. It's very, very well done as far as the special effects go and the practical effects. Everything is really cool about this movie from 1977. It's a fun watch. Here's one called The Island, starring Michael Caine, about a father and his son who get marooned on an island that's inhabited by bloodthirsty pirates, and they're trying to escape, and the island is full of booby traps and killers. Very suspenseful. It's a good film. Here is The Legend of Hell House. This was okay. It was a decent watch. This was film from 1973, and you can see it has Roddy McDowall in there. Here's a sci-fi film called Message from Space. I think this was limited to 1,000. 1978. From a captive planet, 2 million light years away, came a desperate message from space. Help us. Here's a twin billing called Metamorphosis and Beyond Darkness. Both movies are kind of middle of the road. They're still fun watches. Possession type films. From 1989 and 1990. Here's a creature feature film called The Nest. Killer roaches. Flesh-eating roaches that leave behind skeletons and corpses. This was a kind of a fun slasher for me. This is called New Year's Evil. I switched it out to a black case. I think it looks pretty cool. But there's not too many horror films based around the New Year's Eve, holiday, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I do like the holiday themed, the Christmas slashers, the New Year's slashers, stuff like that. So it was good to see one for New Year's Evil. Here's Night of the Lepus, a movie about killer rats. Killer rabbits. I don't know why I said rats. There you can see Bones McCoy, who is, what's his real name? You guys are probably screaming it at the... It doesn't even have his name on here. Oh, DeForest Kelley. That's DeForest Kelley, who played McCoy on Star Trek. Here is one of the 5 Blind Dead movies, Night of the Seagulls, and I wish Scream Factory would put them all together in one box set. These are pretty fun movies. Again, they're not great and they're very low budget, but you can see that they're kind of like Knights Templar zombies, Walking Dead. They're still protecting their land and their treasures. And a castle, I believe, on an island, if I remember right. But these are definitely fun movies. Would love to see a box set of those, though. Here's Ninja 3, The Domination. I know this was re-released as a collector's edition with a slipcover later down the road, but I didn't feel the need to double dip on this one. It was a fun movie, but it was not very good. It was actually a little bit bizarre, but again, I did have fun with it. It's a popcorn movie. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but here's Nosferatu the Vampire, starring Klaus Kinski. This one was pretty good. This one is directed by Herzog. And Herzog and Kinski collabed a lot together on movies. And they had a love-hate relationship from some of the documentaries I've seen. I guess Kinski was very hard to work with. So here's another Roger Corman cult classic. This is Piranha. This is a fun movie. Killer flesh-eating piranhas. Like oversized piranhas. I believe the premise of the film was there was some kind of a toxic leak into the lake or the river, and the piranhas became big and fierce, ferocious, and hungry for people. And next one is called The Plague Dogs, and this is a very good movie. It's another animated movie, and it's definitely not for kids. There's a lot of anguish and scenes that are hard to take if you're animal lovers. But I was glad to see that somebody put this out on Blu-ray, and it just happened to be Shout Select. But for a long time, that was only on DVD, and it was out of print, and it was very expensive. But it was due for a Blu-ray release. Next one is called Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings. Not as good as the first one, but still fun. Kind of a cryptid horror film. I don't remember if Henriksen is in this one. Linnea Quigley is, and Amy Dolenz, but yeah, I don't see Henriksen in this one. Next one is another kind of a sci-fi cryptid horror movie, Q, the Winged Serpent, based on the dragon/dinosaur Quetzalcoatl, and they just call it Q. This one has Grasshopper in it, David Carradine. Richard Roundtree is also in it. And it has some really good old New York vibes to it, being that it was, it's a film from 1982, and it's filmed in New York City. You get to see some of the gritty parts of New York City. Next one is called Ravenous. I enjoyed this movie. This is kind of a more modern horror movie. It's actually a kind of a cannibal type movie. It has Guy Pearce in it. David Arquette plays a good role in this movie. And this one came out in 1999. I still consider it kind of a, even though that's 21 years old now, I still consider this more of a modern horror. But I had fun with this. It was a good movie. Next one is one from my childhood. This is a Scream Factory title called Saturday the 14th. And it's a comedy horror spoof on Friday the 13th. And I remember watching this as a kid with my brother and my cousins, and we had fun with this. And again, this one was released on DVD, and it was out of print. It was very expensive, so I was glad to see somebody put it out on Blu-ray. Next one is another Corman classic called Star Crash. And this is the 2-disc special edition with a lot of extras on it. Not sure if these are out of print yet or not, but if they're still in print, I recommend grabbing these while you can before they do go out of print. Because I know a lot of, especially Corman stuff, you know, it's available for a while, then it goes out of print, and then it's very expensive. And those sci-fi movies are always really good, fun watches. Next one is the Blu-ray DVD combo of Swamp Thing, another one that I remember watching as a kid on VHS, HBO. We used to have Halloween parties at my mom and dad's house when I was a kid. Me and my brother, we used to have friends from the neighborhood over. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Swamp Thing, Creepshow, those were always movies that we rented every year. This was one that we used to watch all the time. Starring the very lovely Adrienne Barbeau, and I believe she's topless for a moment in this movie. movie from 1981. Next one was one of my favorite releases ever from Scream Factory. This is called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack, and it's very important because this one never had a proper DVD release, let alone Blu-ray release. It was on VHS. There were bootlegs of the DVDs going around for many years. But Scream Factory released this on a proper DVD and Blu-ray, so this was very important. And this is a good slasher from the 70s, based on a true story. And you can tell that Friday the 13th definitely had an influence, or this movie had an influence on that franchise, because that looks a lot like Sackhead Jason. And this one also does come with a bonus movie called The Evictors from the same director. So this was a very welcomed release from Scream Factory. Next one's another sci-fi movie called Time Walker. I believe this one was limited to 1,000. I think these are probably now long sold out because these came out probably 5 years ago as I'm recording this. So they've probably been long out of print. This was another one that was 1,000, I believe, Up from the Depths. Sci-fi horror. And this was also another one, I believe, that was limited to 1,000. Somebody can correct me down below, but I do remember there was like 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them that they released at one time that were all limited to 1,000. This one's called The Vampire Lovers. I didn't really care too much for this one, although it does have some good actors in it. You could see the great Peter Cushing right there. But I wasn't as big a fan of this one, but it does have a lot of kind of like a Hammer vibe to it. And this is a movie from 1970. It felt like one of the 60s Hammer movies, but not quite as good. And I think this one also was limited to 1,000, The Velvet Vampire, which again was not one of the better movies I've seen in a while, but 1971. This one is a kind of an alien abduction horror movie called Without Warning. This was a very good movie. I really enjoyed this one. Jack Palance, Martin Landau are in this movie. Cameron Mitchell and Neville Brand are also in the movie, and so it's very star-studded. It's a good movie. And although that alien kind of looks cartoonish, the movie is very frightening. It's not a kid movie at all. I mean, that does look like it's kind of a kid's movie. It almost kind of has like a Killer Clowns from Outer Space type look to it, but it's actually a very good movie. So now we'll get into the double billings I have in this little stack here at the end. And then we'll finish up this first row and go on to shelf 2. But you get The Beast of Hollow Mountain and The Neanderthal Man. Deathstalker and Deathstalker 2. Terror Vision and The Video Dead. X-Ray and Schizoid, and that's actually the Schizoid that they have the rights to from 1980, starring Klaus Kinski. That's important because that'll come up again later in the video. There's Cellar Dweller and Catacombs. Here is Troll 2, and it also comes with the DVD, Best Worst Movie. Very nice set to get if you can grab that. This one is called Millennium and Rotor, R-O-T-O-R, and I forgot what that stood for. It stands for Robotic Officer Tactical Operation Research, Rotor. Next one is called Murders in the Rue Morgue and the Dunwich Horror. I think a lot of these are out of print. This one is called The Food of the Gods and Frogs. Empire of the Ants, Jaws of Satan. Here is Destroyer and Edge of Sanity, starring Anthony Perkins. And the last one for this shelf is Tentacles and Reptilicus. So we will continue on with the slipcover editions. So these are alphabetized again, and I started with numbers. There's only actually one number, but it's 10 to Midnight. It's a Charles Bronson film. He's trailing a serial killer. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's a very good addition too. You get a 4K scan of the movie, plus all those special features. The cover's a little bit weak, but the movie's very good. It's definitely worth a buy. Next one here is Army of Darkness, the collector's edition. You do get 3 cuts of the film. You get the theatrical version, director's cut, and the international cut. The international cut has a 4K scan. Definitely worthy of a buy. Next one is a 1970s John Carpenter classic, Assault on Precinct 13. 1976. Really enjoy this movie. Police are kind of holed up in their station and they're trying to fend off would-be terrorists, basically. It's very well done. Here's an independent film called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Really enjoyed this movie. Another very good modern horror film. This one came out in 2016. Definitely worth a buy. Here's one that was really hyped up. It fell a little bit short for me, but I still enjoyed it. It was called The Babadook. I believe this was an Australian horror film. When it first came out, everybody was goo goo gaga over it. This has a pretty cool little pull-out. And it was way overhyped for me, and by the time I saw it, it wasn't my thing, but it's okay. This one was pretty good. This is another independent film called Backcountry, based on a true story about a couple who is stalked by a flesh-eating bear. And Eric Balfour is in here, and he plays a pretty good role. He's the third person that he meets up with the couple, so he plays a very bizarre, kind of a dangerous stranger type, so the couple have to watch out for him and the bear. This is a very good movie. I may watch this one again. It was a good watch. Here's another one I really enjoy, and I was glad that Scream Factory put this out in a collector's edition. This is called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And this was the type of movie that you love it or you hate it. I know that there was a lot of hate for this movie, but it's almost made in a documentary style, and it's kind of an homage to some of the earlier slashers, Jason and Michael Myers, and it's just a very good movie. I enjoy it. Scott Wilson and Robert Englund are in this movie. Scott Wilson you'll remember as Herschel Green from The Walking Dead, and of course Robert Englund is Freddy. Here is a Christmas slasher from Canada called Black Christmas, the collector's edition. This one is still sealed because I do have it in different formats. I have a Blu-ray from Canada that I really like. This is a beautiful 2-disc set. Highly recommend this movie. I love Christmas horror movies, and this is one of the better ones in my opinion. Next one is an anthology, John Carpenter, Body Bags. This was a fun watch. Going back to the VHS days, I've seen this movie many, many times. And yeah, I'm trying to see. That looks like Mark Hamill to me. I can't remember if he's in the movie, but that really looks like Mark Hamill. But this is directed by Tobe Hooper, of course. Everybody knows that. Another slasher from the 80s, The Burning. Very good, very gory, cool killer movie. Backwoods slasher, 1981. Really enjoy that movie. Here's the original Candyman. Say his name 5 times, and you'll be surrounded by bees, and you'll wish you didn't say his name 5 times. Next one is Carrie, the collector's edition. This is one that Scream Factory released with 2 slipcovers. I sold the other one. I kept this one. This is the 40th anniversary edition. Good movie. Here's Cat People. I don't really like this movie. I'm not even going to tiptoe around it. I think this movie's garbage, but it's in my collection. Here's a classic. This is the original Child's Play. This is my favorite in the franchise. Not really a big fan of the Child's Play franchise, but I do like the first one. There's a couple in the franchise I like, but... And then this one was also issued with another slipcover from Scream Factory. Class of 1984. Kind of a futuristic, or kind of a gang violence movie. It's been a while since I watched this one. I know this one has cult status. A lot of people love this movie. This is a zombie comedy, a British comedy called Cockneys versus Zombies. I had some pretty good laughs. There's a couple times I laughed right out loud. There was an old guy, I think that's him right there. He was a crabby guy, and he had some really good one-liners. And there's a lot of British slang. To a lot of my American friends who get a chuckle out of some of the British slang, you'll like this movie. You'll learn some good stuff here. It's not a great movie by any means. Don't get me wrong. It's a fun watch, but it's not a great movie. This is one of my favorite releases from Scream Factory. I tried to show this the other day, and I lost the footage of it. But this is George A. Romero and Stephen King in Creepshow. This is a beautiful set. I'll show you guys more of this set at the very end of the video when I go through my box sets. I'll keep that one out like that so I remember to grab it. But if you want to see more of what's inside of there, stick around till the end. Here is a Sam Raimi, kind of a comic book style movie called Darkman. And let me see, I'm trying to think of, okay, Larry Drake, who played, I forgot what character he played. Dr. Giggles, I believe, right? Which was not a good movie either, but this is a fun watch. It's a good movie. Here's the remake of Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder and James Gunn collaboration. Really good movie. And of course, it's not as good as the original, but it's still a very good, fun watch. Here's the original Day of the Dead with one of the best covers I've seen. There's Dr. Tongue and Bub and some of the cast of characters for the film. Very good watch. Excellent addition. Here's Ernie Borgnine and Michael Berryman and Sharon Stone in Deadly Blessing, a religious fanatic type movie from the early 80s, I believe. 81, very early 80s. Here's another one I didn't really care too much for. This is some of the modern horror that's kind of garbage to me. This is called Dead Shadows. I probably will get rid of this at some point, and the slipcovers it came ripped. This was just not a very good movie. And I didn't really care much for this one either, Dead Souls. It's a chiller movie. It seemed like for a little while, Scream Factory was just releasing anything they could, and this is garbage to me, but keep moving on. Very good movie, Dog Soldiers, werewolf movie filmed in Scotland. Excellent atmosphere, excellent scenery, cool, a different take on the werewolf creatures. And it's very brutal. It's a very good watch. One of the better werewolf movies. Here's Stuart Gordon's Dolls. It's okay. It's enjoyable. I wouldn't call it a great movie by any stretch, but it's still a fun watch. Here's another Sam Raimi movie, Drag Me to Hell. This was a good watch. This one's very creepy. It held up too. This one came out. This is a modern horror film. But that one has a lot of rewatchability factor to it. I like that movie quite a bit. Here's another good one. This is Carpenter's Escape from New York. Snake Plissken. Lee Van Cleef. Not really a lot to say about this movie that you guys don't already know. This is a 2-disc set. It's a beautiful release. Definitely worthy of a buy. This one was not bad. This is called Fender Bender. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was. It started out really good, and then it just kind of fizzled, but they could have did so much more with this movie. I like the concept of it, though. It was pretty cool. John Carpenter's The Fog, classic, 1980. Excellent atmosphere, great characters, a good story. Here's Stuart Gordon's From Beyond. Stuart Gordon, Brian Usna collaboration, and produced by Charles Band. And this is a very, very good movie. Tobe Hooper's The Funhouse, another good one. Very solid movie. Here's Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Very good releases. Those are the collector's editions. Here's Linda Blair in Hell Night. I just recently watched this one again for like the 10th time. And this one holds up pretty good. This is still a good movie. This was a very young Linda Blair. She was more like probably 19 or 20 in this one. Whereas when she was in The Exorcist, she was just a little kid. But this one, she was a young lady. She looked really good. She was starting to really develop into a fine actress. Here is The Howling, another good werewolf movie from the 80s. Really cool cover. Here's John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. I recently watched this one a couple weeks ago. Again, this was one I've seen many times before, or a few times before. It's a good movie, but it's a very long movie. It seemed like it could have been cut down a little bit. But the character that Sam Neill played in this movie, it was a very good story, I thought. And you get to see, I don't want to give the ending away, but it's one of those kind of a mind trip type movie. It really sucks you in, though. You kind of feel like you're in the movie with the guy. Here's Jeepers Creepers. Very good movie. And a good sequel, Jeepers Creepers 2. Not quite as good as the first, but still a fun watch. Here is the Larry Fessenden collection, which includes No Telling, The Wendigo, Habit, and The Last Winter. And I recommend that set. Those are very good movies. I'm a Fessenden fan, so I like all of his stuff. Here's Tobe Hooper's Life Force, sci-fi vampire horror movie. Lake Placid, kind of a dark comedy horror. And, well, Bill Pullman's in here, but Betty White steals the show with some of her one-liners. Gotta love Betty White. This is a really fun movie about a big, oversized killer crocodile. Here's George A. Romero's Land of the Dead. Not bad, but not really good either. Probably one of his lower movies in that franchise. Here's Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. I had fun with this movie. Scott Bakula's in here. It's a pretty cool cover. Here's one that doesn't seem like it fits with Scream Factory, but it's still a fun apocalyptic movie called Mad Max, starring a very young Mel Gibson from 1980. Fun watch. Here's The Monkey's Paw. This is pretty terrible. I like the story, The Monkey's Paw, and there's been many different renditions of this movie, but this particular one was garbage. I did not like it. I do not recommend this movie. Here's a good horror comedy from the 80s, Motel Hell, about a family of farmers who they run a motel and they also sell meat. They specialize in like dried meat and sausages and jerky and stuff like that. And you'll have to watch the movie to figure out how they come up with all their meat. But you can kind of see there that they kind of treat their guests rudely. But there's Farmer Vincent and his wife. One of the best sets that Scream Factory put out. This is Nightbreed. Comes with 2 different cuts of the film. You get the theatrical cut, and then you get the Cabal cut, which is the director's cut. It's limited to 10,000. I got 1179. Very, very fun movie. Here is a couple of Valley girls who experience an apocalypse, and they have to try to survive Night of the Comet. This is another horror comedy. And this one stars Catherine Mary Stewart, who looks very, very gorgeous in this movie. Very nice on the eyes. Here's Kevin Tenney's Night of the Demons. And this one has Linnea Quigley in it. This is a fun movie. I recommend this one. Couple of Paul Naschy collections. Here we got Volume 1, which has Horror Rises from the Tomb, Vengeance of the Zombies, Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll, Human Beasts, and Night of the Werewolf. Plus you get a 24-page book. Volume 2 has Hunchback of the Morgue, A Dragonfly for Each Corpse, The Devil's Possessed, Exorcism, and Werewolf and the Yeti. And you get another 24-page book. And then you have Don Coscarelli's Phantasm 2, starring Angus Scrimm as the Tall Man. These are fun sci-fi movies, going back to my VHS days as a kid. Remember renting these and enjoying them. So that is the end of shelf 2. We'll get into the third shelf here and the rest of the box sets, and we will wrap this up. Moving on to the third and final shelf, we do have some more slipcovers, some steelbooks, and some DVDs, and some box sets on the floor. First one here is Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. It's a fun watch about a crazy family who holds kids hostage in the basement. I'm sure most of you have seen this movie. It's a fun watch. It's a creepy movie. This one's called Phantom of the Paradise. I didn't really care too much for this movie. I know it has a big cult following. From 1974, Brian De Palma. It just really wasn't my thing. No offense to those who like it. I couldn't get into it. I tried it a couple different times. Here's John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. This is a good one. It says it's a John Carpenter satanic classic. I would call it a classic. It's a good one. Donald Pleasance is in it. Fun watch. Here's a movie called Prison, starring a young Viggo Mortensen. Kind of a haunted ghost story, haunted prison. It was an okay watch. It was fun. I really enjoyed the Psycho 2 and Psycho 3 movies that I have here. Anthony Perkins still played a very good role in part 2 and 3. Part 3 got a little more silly, but I still enjoyed it. I remember watching these on VHS. Here's the original Pumpkinhead with the slipcover. You can see Lance Henriksen. That's a really cool cover. Here's a Cronenberg classic, Rabid. I really love this movie. This one's still sealed because I watched the Arrow Video Blu-ray, only because I had the Arrow Video Blu-ray first. But definitely wanted to pick this one up on Scream Factory. Get a lot of special features, a 2K scan. Here's the Return of the Living Dead. That's the alternate cover. And here's the Return of the Living Dead, the original cover that they released with the new commissioned artwork. And here is the Return of the Living Dead 2. All fun watches. Popcorn movies, horror comedy. Here's Wes Craven's Shocker. It's decent. It's an okay watch. And that is Mitch Pileggi, who also played in the X-Files. Here's Silent Night, Deadly Night. Very good Christmas slasher. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Not as good, but still fun. Here is Sleepaway Camp 1. There's the young Angela with a very, very, very crazy ending to part 1. And then you have Sleepaway Camp 2 and Sleepaway Camp 3. And they got worse as the series went on, but again, they're still fun watches. Here's a good home invasion movie called The Strangers. This is a good modern horror film. I really like this one. This one's creepy. Here's Squirm. It is a creature feature film about killer nightcrawlers who get energized by a lightning storm and become flesh-eating monsters. Here's the collector's edition of Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. I think the cover is better than the movie. The movie's okay. These are fun watches. Here's Demon Knight. Here's Tales from the Hood. I recently watched this one again over the past couple weeks, and I try to like this one. I don't like. I mean, it's an okay. It's a fun watch. It's not. I don't love the movie. Sorry. It's like a 4 out of 10 for me. Here's Terror Train, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. This is a really good movie. The killer changes costumes several times throughout the movie. I think it's a very good watch. There's a good ending. TCM 2 and TCM 4, The Next Generation. A lot of people hate this movie. It's not a very good movie, but I still find enjoyment out of it. Part 2, however, is very, very good. So got a little tongue-tied there. Here's John Carpenter's They Live, starring Roddy Piper. Very good movie. Here's Carpenter's The Thing, and this was the alternate cover that they released, and this is the original cover that they released. Here's one of the better horror anthologies for Halloween. This is Trick or Treat. Very fun movie, very high rewatchability factor. Here's one that's garbage. This is Valentine. Didn't really care for this one at all. Probably sell that one at some point. Here's the Vincent Price Collection 1. Actually, I mentioned the movies. The Pit and the Pendulum, Mask of Red Death, Haunted Palace, Fall of the House of Usher, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and Witchfinder General, aka The Conqueror Worm, plus a 24-page book. Vincent Price Collection 2, The Raven, The Comedy of Terrors, Tomb of Ligeia, Last Man on Earth, Dr. Phibes Rises Again, and The Return of the Fly. The reason I'm going over all of these again, even though I just made a video about these, is because maybe somebody won't ever watch the other ones, but they'll find this video. So I have to be a little more thorough in this video. And here's Collection 3, which has Master of the World, Tower of London, Diary of a Madman, An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe, and Cry of the Banshee. And this one has a 12-page book. Another independent film called Wormwood, Road of the Dead. This was a decent movie. It was a fun watch. It was kind of a splatter flick, and they say it's Mad Max meets Dawn of the Dead. It does have a lot of like Evil Dead vibes to it too, kind of over-the-top splatter. It's not a great movie, but it's still a fun watch. I enjoyed it. So we will get into the Steelbooks now. I know there are quite a few Steelbooks that Scream Factory released, and I only have a handful here, but I plan on picking up some more down the road. But these are the ones I have for now. I have Carpenter's Escape from New York. Really cool. Carpenter's The Fog. Forbidden World, Roger Corman. Another Roger Corman, Galaxy of Terror. These covers are really nice. I love the color schemes. Roger Corman's Humanoids from the Deep. And Roger Corman's Piranha. So now we just have a little stack of DVDs here and a couple of box sets. First one here is the Slumber Party Massacre Collection. Comes with 3 movies in this set. It's really cool. The next one is the 4-pack, What's the Matter with Helen, The Vagrant, The Godsend, and The Outing. And this is the one that was recalled. This one has Schizoid, only they used the wrong Schizoid. Instead of using the 1980 Schizoid with Klaus Kinski, they used the 1971 Schizoid, which is actually a woman or a lizard in a woman's skin. And they didn't have the rights to that, so this one got recalled. So when this one got recalled, they replaced Schizoid with What's the Matter with Helen. That's why I have 2 of those. Next one is a 4-pack of the Dungeon Master, Cellar Dweller, Contamination Point 7, and Catacombs. 4 movies on 2 discs. Next one is called TV Terrors. These are horror movies that were on TV back in the 70s. The Initiation of Sarah and Are You in the House Alone? Back when TV used to be good. Here is a Mystery Science Theater 3000 of The Undead. And they riff on the movie called The Undead. That was put out by Shout Factory. Here is Roger Corman's Cult Classics All Night Marathon. It's a Vampires, Mummies, and Monsters 2-disc special edition. You get Lady Frankenstein, Time Walker, Grotesque, and the Velvet Vampire. Here's one of the very first Scream Factory editions I got. It was a Scream or Shout. This is actually Shout. This was, I bought this. This was one of the first ones I got on DVD, Humanoids from the Deep. Next one is another Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is Zombie Nightmare. They riff on that movie. Got a double billing of Roger Corman Cult Classics, The Evil and Twice Dead. Piranha with a nice lenticular cover, slipcover. And a Roger Corman Sword and Sorcery collection. You get Deathstalker, Deathstalker 2, Barbarian Queen, and the Warrior, and the Sorceress. So we will conclude this shelf, and we'll move to the floor now and go over the box sets. The next set, I think I got this for 20 bucks used on eBay. I know there are some other box sets that Scream Factory has out that are on my wish list that I don't have yet, but this is the It's Alive trilogy. Comes with It's Alive, It Lives Again, and Island of the Alive. Comes in kind of a cheaper box. And here are the movies. This is the first one, It's Alive. Does have a reverse. The original covers, I flipped all of these to the newly commissioned art, but these were that was the original cover there on the inside. Here's It Lives Again, Part 2. And these movies are not great, but they're fun. There's the reverse. That's the original cover. And here is Island of the Alive. That one does not have a reverse. But these are Larry Cohen films, and you know what you're getting with Larry Cohen. Starring Michael Moriarty right there. So that was the little trilogy of It's Alive. The next set is another beautiful addition to my collection. This was put out by Shout Factory. The reason I kept forgetting about this one is because I have these little plastic easels, and I display certain box sets on little entertainment centers and stuff like that in my other room, the movie room I call it. And I have probably half a dozen or more of these, and I have different little box sets and stuff kind of being shown off around the room. And this was one that was on one of those easels, so that's why I forgot it. But this is the Herzog collection. It is a 13-disc set. You get 16 acclaimed films and documentaries from the legendary filmmaker for the first time in high definition. There's the spine of it, put out by Shout Factory. Comes in this really cool book style. It's like almost like a digibook style packaging. And you can see that these are all the movies. We'll go through all those. These are movies that he directed between 1970 and 1999. Approximately running time 1,501 minutes. The only thing that this set doesn't have that I wish it did were the death row documentaries that he did, which you can find here on YouTube. There's some really, really good stuff that he interviews some killers and guys that are going to be put to death, and he goes through and talks about his feelings on death row and putting people to death, capital punishment, and all that. Now he'll tell a story of each guy that he's doing the documentary on, and it's very interesting stuff. There's a couple really good ones on there. Doug Feldman was really good. That's one I really recommend. There's a couple others, and they're all excellent. But there's Herzog right there. It comes with a book in the front. See some of his early days. Talks about all the movies that are in this set. And then each of the discs are housed kind of in like a little cardboard sleeve on each page. And you get Even Dwarfs Started Small. You get Land of Silence and Darkness and Fata Morgana. You get Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Like I said, they did a lot of collabs together. You get The Enigma of Caspar Hauser. You get Heart of Glass, Strozek, Wozek, Nosferatu the Vampire, Fitzcarraldo, Ballad of the Little Soldier and Where the Green Ants Dream, and you get Cobra Verde. Lessons of Darkness, Little Dieter Needs to Fly, My Best Fiend, and that's it. But it's a beautiful set, and one that I definitely wanted to add to show you guys that was available from Scream and Shout Factory. And the last one is the crown jewel. Everybody would probably agree with that. The best box set that Scream Factory has put out to date so far. It's not over yet, but this is the Halloween, the complete collection, 15 disc deluxe edition. This one comes with all of the movies on black Amaray cases. You get a booklet inside there. You get Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Halloween 4, 5, Curse of Michael Myers, H2O, Resurrection, and you get Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2. And then there's a book. I suppose I can pull that out really quick. I'll pause it here for a second. So here are all the covers. They do not have reversible covers. They all come in these beautiful, sleek black cases. You have Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the remakes. And here's the book. Pretty thick, high quality book. Again, you got nice glossy pages. You got lots of write-ups. A lot of people hate Rob Zombie's remakes, but I really enjoy them. I love the brutality of them. I love the way Rob Zombie directs his films, and I love his vision. I like everything about Rob Zombie. I like his music. I like his wife. I like his movies. So that is it. I'm going to put this away, and we'll wrap this up. I just wanted to say I want to thank you guys for watching another video and showing support by giving thumbs up and just clicking the videos and watching. It means a lot to me that you guys come and watch my videos and hang out with me. I hope I gave you guys some suggestions for those who maybe don't have any of these or some of these editions. And if you want to comment below and tell me what I'm missing, what I need to add, I would definitely love to hear a suggestion. And like I said, if you guys want to comment, I will definitely respond to every comment. The only problem I've been having with YouTube lately is they don't always notify me when I get comments. I might get like 3 notifications, and I'll go over and I'll check, and I have 15 comments that I need to respond to. So if you comment, just be patient with me. I will get back to you, I promise. Because I feel like if you take the time to watch my video and comment, the least I can do is respond to you. And like I said, this right now is the crown jewel. This is the best box set that Scream Factory has so far, but October's coming. You guys know what October means.
Mother is talking to you.
See you guys in October with the new box set. I'll see you guys before then, but my next Scream Factory update will be October. See you guys later.